men are making choices for us, women, about birth control, abortion, healthcare, everything, and we can't even have a say on it because they won't even hear us.
You don't care about my day feels bad, man.
Who linked this? Guys, who linked this?
I have my non-feminists in the left spotlight. I have my feminists in the right spotlight.
What's on the menu for today, bro beans?
The feminist movement has
non-feminist.
changed from its original definition.
Link drip check.
Yeah. Guys, I don't know what to think about this.
The reason why I hesitated is because I started to think about who is most served by mainstream feminism. I don't personally think that that has changed. I think that white, heterosexual, cisgendered women are most served by mainstream feminism.
When I heard the definition of feminist, right, I was like, yeah, I'm a feminist.
What?
Like, yeah, you know, I believe in equality of the sexes. Of course I do. But it changed the more that I researched the movement, the more that I saw how mainstream media portrayed it. And
Guys, so whenever they compound so many words and buzzwords, it almost sounds like you're talking about a chemical, like, property.
to me,
or
it's
compound.
like there's a lot of issues that happen to men in disproportionate amounts that are always overlooked. That, you know, no one talks about the suicide rate. No one talks
Because
about
there's so
the
many words at the same time
homelessness
that
rate
I don't
for men.
understand
And
it.
it sucks because if your whole movement is based around equality of the sexes, right, and to make sure both sexes are equal, then that covers the whole spectrum, right? It's not just one sex, it's equality. The title of feminist inherently excludes men.
Interesting.
But the definition doesn't.
Okay. The problem with this take, in my opinion, chat, is that so sometimes if you want equality, cool. But when things are not equal, sometimes some sides need a little bit of help, a little bit of a boost, or a bit of structure. That's just kind of how it is. Get mad about it. You get mad at me for that, but that's
Male
just how it
privilege is real.
Pepe laugh, oh no, Jubilee Pepe laugh.
It's not lost on me how many more men are in academia and in higher education. Women are called more often to put their careers on hold in order to have children or for whatever other reasons. That's just kind of the way I see it manifesting most in my life, is just seeing how hard it is to be an intellectual woman in academia.
My name is Faith, and I am not a feminist. I am a strong woman, and I was raised by strong women, but I cannot get behind a few of the core ideals of what it often means to be a feminist, so I do not identify as one.
My mother is a teacher.
Well, I think that only women can get pregnant.
She has her master, she has years and years of experience, and yet her place within the school, her place within, as far as like authority over students, is not the same as a man. And I think that's an inequality that I've just been shown from my mother, who comes home and says, you know, I just had the worst day at work because I was uncomfortable the entire time. Or I had a strange experience with a male student who just like would not listen to a word I said. It wasn't connecting, and it wasn't until I brought in the vice principal who was male or another teacher who was male that things could be kind of squashed and covered.
Oh. I think if it's that, I think you're bound to be like course corrected by the world though. Like if you won't listen to somebody that's a teacher, that's a woman, and she's telling you the correct things, if you won't listen and you fail, well, I mean.
Just growing up, I would say that
motherfucker, maybe he's gonna maybe she was right. Maybe I'll listen to women more often, dumb fuck.
overall our school systems are more geared towards women. There's more female teachers, and that's how our children are raised. You know, the things that you were alluding to, your mom has to deal with those difficulties that a man would not have to deal with. Men have to deal with a lot of difficulties that most women wouldn't have to deal with. We do benefit from certain privileges, but so do women.
I think you considered it a privilege that there are more women in the teaching profession, but you should also consider that other options weren't necessarily or historically available to women because they were considered to be more nurturing. A lot of women were pushed into that field.
Still, women are choosing these majors and choosing their region of study, whereas men are tending to choose higher paying majors. They're choosing more to go into STEM fields and such like that, and reaping the financial benefits, while women are also reaping their own happiness benefits of going to a field that they enjoy.
I don't know if there's stats behind this, whatever. It's kind of hard to take.
If I were born the opposite sex, my life would be easier.
I started to walk over just thinking inherently the privileges that men in this society have and how they're able to navigate far easier and all of that stuff. And then I thought what it would be like to be a black man in this society. And I don't know that it would be any easier.
I am first generation Mexican American. I have 2 Mexican parents. If I were to be born a male Mexican, it'd be so much easier for just that group. I try to break off from those stereotypes of Melanie gets a table ready for dinner. Excuse me, I have 2 brothers that can do the exact same thing. You know, why can't they do it? Why do I have to do it?
My name is Melanie Valdez, and I am on the feminist side. I had an incident where I was sexually assaulted, and that changed my whole perspective.
28 months Bodum MasterChef Season 9 soon.
Perhaps. Moz, we even have the titles for that.
If I was born any other thing than I am, I would have to struggle differently than I have already struggled, and compared to some people in minorities, or some people that are white. Some people that are white have struggled more than me. There's always a positive and a negative that you're born with, and it's how you utilize that and get over it that I think is important, rather than
That's a fair take.
focusing on if I was born this or if I was born that.
I think it is kind of what we make of it. And I'd almost say that to want to be anything different than what we are is possibly even defeating the purpose of the feminist movement. A big part of feminism is telling women that they're worth it already, that they're already enough. I have a little sister. I have friends who were told by their father, by their older brother, that you are enough.
I was like, yikes, that's a good take. What do you guys want to do?
Because they were told they could. They were given the opportunity from the beginning. And they weren't told, well, if you were a man, you could. No. They were told, you are a woman and you can because of who you are.
Not a bad take.
Not sure that having a community that affirms who you are is enough. If the society and the structure and the laws and the policies that govern tell you otherwise. My parents told me I could do whatever I want to do. And so I went to law school, and I'm an attorney, and I write, but I don't make as much as my coworker who does the exact same thing and who I'm probably more qualified than.
From the statistics that I read, there was no wage gap, it was an earnings gap.
So it's your understanding that there is no wage gap between men and women.
Yes, there's an earning gap. Different position.
I think it's hard. It's kind of hard to compare if you're as of it or more, or if you're worth more. Sometimes I think the reality is this is unrelated to gender, sex, whatever the fuck. Sometimes you're just not as good, and sometimes maybe you're biased or thinking you're better and you're worth more, but in fact you're actually worth less, and you're getting worth less because you're just not as good.
Different schooling can also be a factor. You can have the same degree but from 2 different schools, and they'll pay someone from a better school different. How the interviews go, even negotiable, entry salaries.
Why then are women choosing jobs that pay less?
Culture.
Is saying people are gonna lowball you, but you ask, like, people won't lowball everybody. Everybody gets lowballed. Everybody will get lowballed. What are you on about? People that want to make profit and money will always lowball you, brother. They have to,
men and women need to work together to create equality.
Damn, I thought he was going to say no here.
I think one of the reasons that I can take issue with certain types of feminism it does come across as anti-man sometimes. It comes across as it's your fault. You know, if I go to the Women's March and I see signs that say smash the patriarchy and like our P word bites back and stuff like that, that's, as much as that's speaking against, you know, an oppressive top culture, that's speaking to all men, and I don't see that as helpful.
Well, I think all men benefit from patriarchy.
Guys, what's the P word?
You need to acknowledge your privilege first. If people could hear that about themselves and not be defensive, I think that we could probably push the needle forward a lot faster.
Something that plagues the feminist movement is that there's this idea that in order to gain equal footing, the other side has to be emasculated or has to be dropped down.
And it's not, this isn't pie, you know what I mean? Just because I get a slice doesn't mean you get less, right? Like just because, advocating for women's rights doesn't infringe upon men's rights.
If women are paid less for the same job, then wouldn't employers only hire women than men?
Right.
I don't know what I just
First and second wave feminism were very clear in the very particular things that they were trying to accomplish. You had first wave feminism, which was very clearly, you know, trying to get the right to vote. Second wave feminism, right after like World War II and such, helping women progress in the workplace and such. And now I see third wave feminism, and it is a broken apart, can be lost movement that goes in so many directions, has so many extra qualifiers. And I think about, I was talking to one of my friends who went to the Women's March with a pro-life feminist group. And she said on multiple accounts they were asked to leave because that's not why the Women's March was happening, and that they were against the movement. And so you have all these different types of feminism. There doesn't seem to be a clear center and a clear desire, and I hear people call themselves feminists for all different reasons. And with some of them, I would agree, and I would call myself a feminist for those reasons. But because it's so all over the place, I just can't call myself a feminist.
If feminists can make a concise push towards one issue together, would I be willing to join? If I agreed with the point, yes. Okay. If I agreed with what the movement was going for, yes.
As a woman, I'm not sure that I'm concerned whether or not you want to join as a man.
Is that not part of the issue?
But that's segregating that's segregating genders. If you're saying that you don't care about my opinion as a man, that goes against everything the feminist movement goes.
I don't care about reshaping and forming my feminism in a way that is digestible for you as a man.
So what's the current one message?
The definition of feminism across the board is the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes.
Yes. Why are we only talking about the female inequalities? Why aren't we talking about the male inequalities?
We do not have the same experience. You are not oppressed in the same ways that I am.
No, and I'm sure you're not oppressed in the same ways that I am.
More of our world leaders should be women.
Okay, guys. Everybody is going to agree. Okay, guys. Hot take, guys. Here comes, guys. The stream is about to go offline. It's about to get banned. Hot take. I think this is a hardcore no. This is a no across the board. Why? Because people that should hold positions of power should be people that are qualified. And if that's all women, if that's knives of women, so be it. If that's all men, so be it. That's just kind of how it is. I think forcefully including or excluding people that are less qualified for positions of importance is dangerous for society. Literally, I think it's dangerous to forcefully diversify and force certain classes and sex and gender, whatever, in important positions with less qualified people that make worse decisions just on a core content that there should be more. Brother, I don't give a fuck if every president is a woman. I don't give a fuck. As long as they do a good job and things get done right and they're the most qualified in our perception, they're the best in that position. That's it. End of story. Guys, if we let's say 50 senators or whatever the fuck, right? And 40 are men, I'm gonna be like, guys, we need 5 more women. Oh, you're really good at your job? I'm sorry, dude. We need somebody who's possibly not as good because nah, come on now, that dude. Then you get worse results. Then you get an actual a worsened overall state.
About
why would you want
for
that?
like this, like abortion? Those who signed the bill in the room with Trump, they were all white men. I did not see a single woman. It doesn't matter if it's a white woman. I did not see a single woman in there. So those men are making choices for us, women, about birth control, abortion, healthcare, everything, and we can't even have a say on it because they won't even hear us.
I don't view it as we should have more women in office. I view it as we should have the most qualified people in office. If you have an issue with, the bill being signed by white men, I believe that voting for Congress people that are women or, whoever you review and believe are the most qualified will put those people in power.
If we are talking about the last election, I believe that the most qualified candidate did not win. People need to really consider what role gender played in that.
Just logically, the people that they're representing are both men and women, so the people representing us should be men and women. And it would be really hard for me to ever understand why people wouldn't think that there should be more women in leadership. I love women. I love being a woman. I love strong women.
It's tough to.
When I was raised by strong women, I don't agree with all of the things that are traditionally included in feminist beliefs. Like I have a different view on abortion than you guys, so that's a big deal for me. That's one of the most important things to me. I'm a Christian, and that's just one of my beliefs. So that's kind of, for me, that's one of the driving forces why I don't identify as a feminist.
To divide into two teams gender-wise is not Spartan. It's not often what we do, but it is sometimes. And how do we avoid that? And how do we avoid that separation? How do we make it a collective effort, even though I'm a conservative white man and, there are different views than me, and I don't want to force you to agree with me. I don't want to change your mind in that way, but I want to see how I can still work with you fully and be on your team. And
I have a 5-minute analogy, chat. Guys, I'm gonna rant about this for 1 minute, and I'll be done. Okay, chat, guys.
You can be on mine.
Yeah, today's homework, chat. You have to listen to my rant of 1 minute, and then you're free. You're free. It's a good rant.
As we disagree agreeably.
Thank you, everyone, for probably the most
in my opinion, when it comes to equality in qualifications, okay, yeah, it's a good take. If it comes to equality as with qualifications, everywhere, this applies to everywhere, right? I think in the workplace, in video games, in pro video games, it's like a plant. It's like a plant, okay? Here's a seed, okay, seed, okay, and we'll call this one male, and we'll call this one a female, okay? And they're like, it's like a plant, right? Let's say you give the male plant all that it needs, right? You water it. You give it all the tools that it needs to grow, and then it goes like, and it goes really high, right? And then oh guys, we have to take a leaf, right? For this qualification that we need, right? It's like, oh boom, boom. Then we take the one that at the top, right? And that's great, right? But the problem is that I think sometimes in a lot of fields, in some fields, women face problems and they have discrimination, whatever, and they face unfair things that make them have less tools, so less water to grow. And in certain fields, they grow like not enough, right? Like the fact that women are more bullied in video games or whatever, they play less. The fact that in competitive video games, they get shit on for just being women. It happens a lot. They play less, they practice less, they spend less time in those fields. Therefore, there will be less at the top, right? And then what happens is that it's an underdeveloped part, right? So in my opinion, we need to increase the water, give the tools, and give the help that it needs that the seed is equal. Otherwise, if you say, oh, but dude, we're getting the top, but we also need women or whatever, and you go down and you take one over here, that doesn't help the problem. It has to be progression. It has to be You need to help the seed get there and then get the leaves that are at the top, man. That's it. I don't think that doing this helps. I think this hurts the problem, because then people are gonna be like, "Oh, guys, look, guys, we got this plant, and look how trash it is compared to the one that's over there, because it's not as good." Well, no shit. You're working your way backwards, fucker. You're working downwards. Work upwards. It's that simple. Work upwards. Full of fucking man. And then people say this, but people act like I'm crazy, like I'm a nut job. But this is such a simple concept. So fucking help it grow and gather the juice instead of undermining the seed and shitting on the leaf. There you go.